Rescue Plan. The law expanded child care tax credit to cut child poverty in half in America, and it did. The Republicans let it expire. I'm going to make child care tax cut permanent. And by the way,
so all of this is really, really good. I mean, it really is. The enhanced child tax credit, for example, he's right. This was an American Rescue Plan provision, okay? So it was Democrats who were responsible for it. But there was a sunset provision, right? Especially it was imposed by conservative Democrats like Joe Manchin, for example. And when the time came to renew the child tax credit, not only did Joe Manchin, one Democrat vote against it, every Republican in the Senate, all 50, including the reasonable ones like Mitt Romney. And as a consequence, child poverty, which had been cut in half by President Biden and the Democrats' enhanced child tax credit, that child poverty started to increase again. And then Fox News and right-wingers had the temerity to try to blame that on President Biden. You see, this is what Republicans do. They make a mess or allow a mess to be created, and they don't want to help Democrats clean it up because they want to use it as a wedge issue for the next election cycle. It's a very cynical, disgusting ploy. But obviously, so much of this is contingent not just on President Biden or the Democratic presidential nominee winning the White House, but also by the rest of us delivering that president a sufficiently liberal, sufficiently progressive majority in both chambers of Congress. You got to have the House back. You have to have the Senate. We have to have a trifecta. That's the sad thing, folks. Because Republicans behave in bad faith, because Republican politicians are totally disinterested in governing, because they are like, it's like a three-legged race. This is the comparison I use so often. Governing with Republicans is like being in a three-legged race where your partner just drops to the ground and hugs your leg and tries to impede you moving forward. That's the Republicans. They still have a responsibility to govern. They are given and should be given no constitutional, civic, or moral exemption from governing. Even if they have sincere disagreements, we can litigate those. But to just thwart progress, that's what they do. So it's not enough for Biden and the Democrats to take the White House. We have to give them the whole thing, even codifying road protections, folks. We can do that, right? It passed in the House under President Biden in the aftermath of the Dobbs decision. We got it in the House, and Biden was prepared to sign it into law. But you need a filibuster-proof majority in the Senate or a sufficient number of Democratic senators who are willing to break the filibuster, which Joe Manchin was not. So we have to win, folks. We have to win the whole thing. This is an affirmative progressive agenda, which will mean enormously. It will make a meaningful difference to working class Americans, not just in blue states, but in red states, who are ironically represented by people who oppose that very agenda. Red states are represented by people in the Congress that want to cut taxes for the rich and make it harder for poor and middle class people. So anyway, I thought it was a really interesting